Today I'm talking about clarifying who you actually are. So before I today, by the way, I'm here specifically for women gods, very powerful women. Yeah, it's great over here. It's not so great over here. I have two cameras going at the same time. And right here in front of me, I have a ring light, and over here, I don't have a ring light. I'm here for powerful women who are leaders naturally, have always been different, and they're scared and they're ready to come into their full power. By the way, if you want to engage with me here, you need to have a profile photo. Okay? You need to have a profile photo if you'd like to engage with me here. I find myself repeating that practically every day. So, I'm a power mentor. I've been a power mentor for 12 years. Came into the industry, didn't even know there was an industry. Anyway, came into the industry in 2011. Thank you for the hearts. And I've been working with women all over the world, different classes, different ages, different ethnicities. And I work in the deep power. You know, you're aware of witch hunts, you're aware of the laws that the Roman Catholic Church created, you're aware of other laws that were made in different countries aimed at separating a woman from herself, basically creating false constructs inside of the psyche of humanity that has us here today warring with each other. And this female male dynamic is just one war. There's many wars going on in the psyche of humanity. Anyway, I was born to work in the domain of power. It's in my genetics. It's who I am. It's who I've always been. I bring that up for a couple of reasons. One, if you are like, yes, right, lean in. Come meet us in Atlanta in March. There's a Embody Your Platform Masterclass coming up if you want support, high level, close, rich, wealthy support with coming into your power, all that. Also, are you aware of the podcast called Diary of a CEO? Maybe you are. They're popular, right? They have over 4 million followers, I think, on YouTube. Anyway, Diary of a CEO, young British man is the host. This morning, as I was getting dressed, I was listening to a recent episode, psychologist Dr. Guy, talking about stuckness. And I'm always curious about what's going on with the masses. And when you've always been different since you were little, right? Always been different, not like who you are as a trauma response, a constructed personality, but you have been the standout child since you were two, okay? You've always been different. You've always been bright. You've always been weird. You've always never fit in with the rest of the kids, right? When you truly, it's in your genetics, okay? Um, you don't realize that until people reflect back to you how different you are because you just are who you are. And when you are, 7 years old, 10 years old, 15, and you start to see how people act and they're acting unlike you, and people start to say things to you that to you it's not even something you thought about, and then when people say something to you about it, then you notice yourself. You're like, oh, oh, I didn't, oh, okay. And he's written books about getting unstuck. He teaches at some wonderful university somewhere. And he was talking about a study that was done where they studied this large number of people, and they put them in the room and they gave them the option to sit with their own thoughts for 30 minutes or like shock themselves. There was like a button over in the corner where they gave them the option. You're going to sit here for 30 minutes and you can either sit with your own thoughts for 30 minutes, or if that becomes, unpleasurable, you can then go and push this button to shock yourself, and the shock is going to hurt. And he said that the vast majority of the people chose the shocking because people would rather feel the pain of being shocked than sit with their own thoughts. I'm only sharing this because it's the most recent. Yeah, who is that? Beautiful Rainy said, wow. Exactly, wow, right? I'm only sharing this for contextual reasons. I have zero problem sitting with my own thoughts. I have zero problem being with myself, by myself, the overwhelming majority of the time. I like to come out for air and like socialize with people, right? But 98% of the time, I like being by myself. Now, I've come to this over time because I actually like being out dealing with people. There's a part of me that's extremely extroverted. And because of the dominant consciousness of the masses, and I'm going to include even consciousness folks in that group of the masses, because there are degrees of power, whether you're aware of that or not. Most human beings are not aware of the degrees, and even if they are aware of the degrees, they are not aware of them experientially. They're aware of them by something that they read or by observing other people. Okay? You feel the same way, right? Um, as I describe myself, is that what you're referring to? Beautiful. Thank you for liking the live. And I was so like, wow, when I heard this morning when this doctor shared this, because they talked more about why people don't like to be with their own thoughts for long periods of time, and why he went into talking about how people don't know what to do with themselves outside of other people. And he talked about this is how people get stuck everywhere. They get stuck in relationships, they get stuck in careers, they just went into a lot of detail about it. And I was so like, wow, because he was saying how like outside of relationships, people don't know what to do with themselves. And it helps me understand the mind of the masses, because I don't understand the masses unless I study them, because I don't actually think like the masses, you see. And in relation to today's topic of clarifying who you are, clarifying who you are, clarifying who you are, and why this matters. Lord, okay, Lord. I have an appointment? I just got a text saying I have an appointment. Something. I'm not. Okay. So yesterday during our live stream here, yesterday, I was talking about how it's so common, particularly amongst um, black folks. I don't think I've ever heard a white person talk about the evil eye. Okay. Um, Maybe envy, maybe jealousy, right? So the same thing said differently, right? However, there's a kind of prison that I've come to learn by interacting more intimately with Black consciousness folks who do a very good job of constructing prisons. Wait, how do I? That the realities of human nature, of jealousy, envy, and I wouldn't, that's incorrect. That it's not the nature to be jealous and envious. It's not in the nature. It's built into a lot of the symbolic programming in humanity. I know this is what? I'm just stick with me here. Um, so a lot of what we call nature is not actually nature. What it is it's a result of a lot of the psychological impositions on humans. Even as I say that, I'm like, are people even understanding what I'm saying? Okay, let's keep going. So where one group of people might be like, we're aware of that, but we still go. There's something about the way Black consciousness folks seem to use these dynamics in humans to create a prison for themselves. I'm sure a person could write a whole book to explain why, and oh God, we do such a good job of explaining, you know. Okay. Um, However, in what the woman was saying yesterday about know who, and she put it in caps, know who you are. Like she was feeling me, like exactly right. Um, Beautiful said, I totally get it. Okay, I'm glad. Uh, know who you are. In relation to this psychologist who was talking about how so many people don't know what to do with themselves or who they are outside of their relationship with other people and being told what to do, or like I always think about this in the dynamic of male female relationships and the actual nature of males, like the base nature of males, without them being told your job is to protect and provide and to be a leader. Like they're told that, right? If that wasn't the social norm, would men do that naturally? No, they would not. Okay? That's not the base nature of males. The base nature of males is to eat and to have sex, to multiply. That's the base nature of males. Okay? Becoming anything that we would call high level requires an activity of the psychological selves, right? And all the kin keeping. Tell me what you mean by that, beautiful, the kin keeping. Oh, I love, I feel like that's going somewhere that is useful and interesting to me. The kin keeping. Please say more. So, with the psychological impositions on humanity, okay, that makes people actually believe the things that they think. Oh, and defend them and stand by them and hold them. It started to, when he was talking, it really started to connect with why so many people don't know what to do with themselves outside of that, and why, like, how about the actual value of psychological impositioning on humans? Because they actually don't know what to do with themselves without being told what to do, and not being told directly, but being told at a psyche level. So let me put this in your mind of what to do and be, because outside of that, you're going to be your nature self. Okay. And if you're in your nature self, I can't control you. If you're your nature self, I can't parcel you out into what I want you to be, how I want you to behave. So therefore, let me give you a book of how to be. Let me give you social order, social construct, social everything. And the only way I can truly control you is if I get into your deep mind. If you know, human beings hate to feel like they're not in free will. Human beings hate to think that. They hate to think that they're being told what to do. So the only way I can truly, truly control you is I have to control you at a deep mind level, at an unconscious level, which by the way is feminine. But if you don't, I can't, because they've demonized the feminine so much, most people, anyway, let's focus here on this, because I can go multiple places and I'm already at 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Somebody said, can you talk about friendships with other women? I'm really struggling right now. We live in our own false prisons. You kin keeping unseen labor of women. Oh, unseen labor of women. Yeah. You know, I want to know more. Who is that? Mesta. Mesta said, can you talk about friendships with other women? Yes. So specifically, what's your question there, Mesta? Because I think that's something I'd be happy to talk about tomorrow, not today. So tell me specifically, Mesta, what about friendships with women? What about it specifically? What's your specific problem? Name it, okay? So I can speak directly to it. Um, and so how do you begin to know who you are? I always feel so apologetic because I know that the direction that I'm taking people in totally defies what we're programmed to be. And I know that it's hard, and I know that people's, you know, the wanting things to be easy, and the, how difficult that I know it can be, even though you can do it still, even though it's difficult. They talked about that too on the podcast about uh, that the navigating difficulty and knowing when to quit, and that if the perseverance, if you got to go listen to it, that basically there's a dip, and that if it's worth the perseverance that you stay with it, but if it's not worth the perseverance that you quit, and you determine what makes it worth it, right? Is based on what even caused you to pursue it to begin with. How you begin to clarify who you actually are is exploration, because everything you think you know, how do you know that? Like, how do you know that? Like, how do you really know? How do you really know? Oh, we do all of the mental labor. Yeah, oftentimes. Um, and I wonder what you mean by mental labor as well. You mean like planning things, managing a house? What do you mean? There's different ways to do mental labor. Resta said, how do I attract health female friends? Well, you look at your health. What's your health like? Are you emotionally mature? I'll talk about that though. Let me do a screenshot so I can remember. There we go. So I just screenshotted your question so I can look at that later to remind me of the actual question. There's a discussion on TikTok about mean women having large friend groups and IG. That's what I wonder. Oh, okay. Well, the reason why I'm glad you brought it up is because we're gathering in Atlanta, and the topic is being in powerful relationships, powerful women being in powerful relationships. So I'll talk about it within that context tomorrow. Beautiful said, when you are taught to serve constantly, you lose yourself. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yep, it's true. What do I mean when I say exploration? I'm already at 16 minutes. I'm not going to go over 20. That's my commitment. What do I talk about when I mean exploration? Well, first of all, exploring on our own is difficult. They talked about it today, where most of us, and this is much more applied to men. This is why men they need a woman much more than we need a man, okay? Because when women have a lot of time by themselves, they become creative. I mean, like the things that we do when we actually invest in ourselves, like paying attention to ourselves, exploring, etc. Women become much more interesting and dynamic than men. That's a whole other conversation. So when I say exploring, I mean, first of all, you're much more likely to not only explore, but really explore outside of what you're familiar with. Okay, so let me be clear there. Explore in the world, like traveling solo. The number of women who are traveling solo for the first time in their life, shout out to Stephanie Perry and the other woman, I can't recall, but they are so active right now with getting so many women to take sabbaticals, to travel abroad, to move abroad, to get to know themselves, to rest, to engage in things that bring them joy and satisfaction and nourishment. And so there's a whole movement going on, particularly amongst Black women. I'm so happy about that. And they're finding how dynamic, how they breathe different, how right they start to realize how much they've self-sacrificed to the point of hating themselves and eating into overweight. Whole dynamic. So when I say explore, I mean explore into doing things that you don't normally do. Visiting other people's worlds, which you can do through. And I want you to do that in your physical, not through watching videos. Do this outside. Like, go to events that you would normally go to. Go, connect with people. You can strike up a conversation at a coffee shop with somebody. Um, you can look at your local newspaper and local events in town. Go to Facebook, Eventbrite, Meetup.com, and look at events going on in your town. Yeah, get uncomfortable and go to events that you wouldn't normally go to. And say to yourself, give yourself permission to look like a fool, to ask dumb questions, to feel weird, you know, um, and being in communities of women who are doing the same increase the chances of you having the courage to do that and to do it sustainably. So this is why I'm inviting you into Women Gods Gather, one of the many reasons. We're meeting in Atlanta. High-powered transformational work we'll be doing. And I'm at time now, so I end with that. The link is with this video. The link is in my bio. So you get to know yourself by exploration. That's my answer. And you can start with doing some of the things that I said here and also following intuition for, making the decision inside and then following the hunches of actions to take out in the world. And I'll talk about this topic that this woman brought up here tomorrow. Okay, lots of love. Thank you so much for those hearts, and thank you so much for your engagement. See you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific. Bye, Facebook. Uh-oh.